Our plan was to overwhelm everybody with massive amount of people that we had. So we had 30 Afghan mercenary guys that trained the security force that we trained. Then we had us, and so it was a team of 12, plus we had augmentation from CA and PSYOPs. So we had 15, 20 guys, Americans there. We stationed around where he's in Jalalabad, where we could go just about anywhere. And he calls, he's like, hey, we're here at this location. We're here right now. Like, all the guys are there. We roll in with our 20 trucks. Basically, I thought we were all going to die.
Welcome to Combat Story. I'm Ryan Fugit, and I served Warzone tours as an Army attack helicopter pilot and CIA officer over a 15-year career. I'm fascinated by the experiences of the elite in combat. On this show, I interview some of the best to understand what combat felt like on their front lines. This is Combat Story. Today on Combat Story, we have our second round interview with 32-year veteran and retired Special Forces Sergeant Major Randy Surles, who entered the Army in 1987 and retired in 2019, if you can believe it. In round one, we covered Randy's jump into Panama, where he broke his leg on the jump itself and had to crawl for 7 hours to safety, his transition into Special Forces from Ranger Regiment, and then attending Lancero school in Colombia, which you can think of as a far more dangerous Ranger school, conducted entirely in Spanish, if you can imagine that. In this episode, we dive into his time leading Green Berets in the post-9/11 era, multiple combat tours to Afghanistan. Randy now helps veterans write their own memoirs as a ghostwriter with the aptly titled website, themilitaryeditor.com. With that, please enjoy our second interview with Randy Surles. All right, Randy, we're back for round two. Thank you very much for making this happen. And I think where we left off, as most listeners will recall, was you're in the middle of Lancero school, and hopefully you can round us out there, and then we'll get on to the second portion of your career.
Yeah, I'll be real quick. I mean, Lancero was probably after Ranger school, Ranger Battalion, the Green, Q course twice. It was the hardest thing I ever did physically, just because, and I said this before, just because if I get hurt, what the hell are they going to do? And I saw lots of people get hurt, and I'm not sure they ever got well, to tell you the truth. Colombians. Yeah. I'm sure if the American went down, the world would lift off. They'd shoot planes down and everyone would get evacuated. In fact, one guy had kidney stones and he got out pretty fast. But if you're in the middle of the jungle, they can only do so much, right? So I'm sorry. Last time I said that was the end of the first phase. I was into the second phase, and the third phase was the jungle phase. So we get to the jungle phase, and it's, well, you're a pilot, right? You've been to SEER school.
Yep.
It's like SEER school on steroids, right? So we get to the jungle, and they do hey, this is a snake, but it's like, it's a snake. It's it's a snake. This is how, if you need to eat, you need to catch the snakes, because there's lots of snakes in the jungle, and this is how you catch a snake, with a forked stick. And then, they show this guy with a burlap bag. He throws a snake in the snake pit. The snake pit's like, I don't know, let's call it 10 meters by 10 meters, maybe chest high or something like that. And so the snake's in there, the kid, I mean, these guys that are not the instructors are usually officers or enlist or NCOs are a little older, but their support people, their privates, are like usually conscripts. And so they got, hey, you're lucky. You're in the Lancero school. You're the snake guy. Get in the snake pit, Sure. So he's in there with a forked stick, and he catches the snakes, catches the head in the fork and grabs this head. It's like, that's how you do it. And then they're like, Gringo, get in the snake pit. I'm like, squeeze ma? What? And they're like, get in the snake pit, catch the snake. I'm like, I get in the snake pit. And they're like, catch it the Lancero way. And I'm like, with a forked stick, right? I get a forked stick. He's like, no, the Lancero way is with your hand. And so they take this burlap bag, and they bang it against the ground, and then they throw this mad snake that they call Catch Margarita. And Margarita's like, it's like 10 feet long. It's not venomous, but it's got teeth, and it's not happy. It's like, it's in this little strike position. I take off my patrol cap, and I'm like, and it's like striking it. And then just pure luck, it strikes at my cap. I grab the head, lucky catch. And I'm like, I got it. Kind of gladiator. I was like, I have the snake. And they're like, all right, you can get out. That wasn't any fun. So I throw that out. And then I get out, and they said, they get a Colombian in there. So this Colombian soldier who's a student gets in there, and they're like, catch the snake, catch Margarita. And he takes his PC off, and the snake like goes for the arm this time, or the guy's not as quick. It's not as lucky. I don't know what this guy's got a snake attached to his arm running around that you're like, they tackle him and then get the snake off, take him off. He gets some first aid. He comes back a couple of days later. But so
well done.
Yeah. So but the survival classes are like, hey, this is a turtle. This is how you get to a turtle in a shell. Here's your turtle. Here's a wild pig. This is how you gut a pig. Here's your wild pig. All this stuff, right? And then you get to cook all the food and eat it. And then they had these like huge, like double the size of my thumb, like caterpillars that had that like you had to bite the head off, bite the bottom off. I remember this distinctly. We sat in a row. And they all watched instructors watch this, like bite the head off, bite the tail off. And then all this green goo, because like snot was leaking out. And they're like, if that touches the ground, you're eating the bucket. And I'm like, sucking it up through the body and chewing it. But the thing bit me when I put it in my hand. Like I was like, this isn't fun. And so, so there's all kinds of junk. We did that. And so between the caterpillars and did we cook the pig well enough or whatever, I got really, really sick at the end of that. And so from that point on, and I think we had 2.5 weeks left up until that point, I was super fit. I just got out of the Q course. I did get out of SEER school a while, but I had a month to recover. I was working out. I was always a pretty good runner. So I was always top of the class, and then I had probably lost a little bit, but not a whole. I mean, they were feeding us rice and like a piece of meat like that every day, And then on the patrols, we carried real food. We carried rice, cans of tuna, cans of sardine, pasta, and then we carried big, huge cauldrons, like one per squad. And then at the end of the night, you set up a patrol base in a triangle with your hammocks, because you don't sleep on the ground or something eats you. Then someone cooks for the night and they say, hey, bring in the food. And then someone fix it and everyone gets a plate of food. And then you go on some guard. And then that's the daily routine, right? You walk through the woods all freaking day to some place, jungle up and down these freaking hills in the jungle. I mean, I don't know if Vietnam was like that, but from the movies, it probably looked like that. And I was like, oh my God, this is crazy. And then plus from that day, like survival day, which is like day 2 of the jungle, I'm just losing weight.
Yeah. You're just sick. Yeah.
And so by like the last day, I'm weighing like 130.
Whoa.
I lost like 60 pounds easy. And I can still beat them in push-ups, but I can't run at all. And so there's like a final PT test, which I just didn't count for very much because I didn't do very well. And the final thing you'd have to do is you have to jump off this cliff. So I told you about the obstacle course before.
Yeah.
This is the jungle obstacle course because there's jungle obstacles, right? Once again, everything's like 6 feet off the thing, but it rains every freaking day. And so it's like so slippery, and you do everything with your ruck and your LC and your weapon, just like you walk through the jungle.
Yeah.
It was by the grace of God that I never fell off one of those things, because people were falling off those things left and right. It was the hardest obstacle course I ever did in my life. I thought the first one was hard, but this was super hard. Get to the final thing. You have to jump off this. It's got to be like 10 stories. Maybe 8 to 10 stories tall cliff over a river. And all through the course, as you get to different stages, they have like the 3 meter and the 5 meter and like the 10 meter and the 25 meter. And you jump off they're getting you acclimatized to jumping off the cliff.
In your gear?
It's just your uniform.
Okay.
And so this is the final test. You have to jump off the top of the cliff. And now it's a big deal, right? There's a guy on the other side of the river with a megaphone. He's like, Lancero, what do you dedicate this jump to? And people are like, well, they're practicing this in the jungle. When we have breaks, they'll stand on a boulder and they're practicing their speeches. I didn't know what the hell they were doing. I'm like looking at him like, what are you doing? He's like, I dedicate this jump to my mother and my father, who was a great Lancero, and my dog Toto, and my wife, and whatever. And so at the end, we get to the end, and the guy's on what do you dedicate this jump to? And people are saying all these things, and he's like, and what else? And he'll lengthen it out, and finally the guys will jump. And when they were practicing, I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, we got this jump at the end. I was like, okay. He's like, aren't you scared? Because you've seen the cliff. I was like, has anyone ever died jumping off the cliff into the river? He's like, well, no. I was like, okay, whatever. It's just a thing. This is a thing you do. It's like jumping over the tab in the Ranger school or whatever. And so we get to it, and these guys are so scared, and they say, "Oh, I'm going to dedicate it to all these people," and they're like, "Lancero, jump!" And they're just like they're psyching themselves up, and then they'll run as fast as they can. I remember the first guy distinctly. He runs as fast as he can. He gets to the end, and he's like stops. He can't stop himself, and he tumbles over, and he bounces off the cliff all the way down, and he gets all bumped up. And I'm like, oh, I got to do that. And there's people that like have 4 or 5 false starts. And I'm just like, this is stupid. So they get me up there. And by then I'm like 130 pounds, soaking wet. My uniform's like
hanging off of you,
barely on, keeping on me. And I'm kind of done with Lancero school. And I'm like, they're like, hey, what do you dedicate this jump to? I was like, I dedicate this jump to the United States of America. And the guy's like, and what else? I was like, that's it. Not playing the game. That's right. He's like, jump. And I jump off and I'm like, Ranger. And I jumped. And then you go to the graduation ceremony and there was some other stuff in there, but it's not super significant. It's kind of funny, but
that's a great course though. I mean, coming out, especially having done the Q course and Ranger school before, to then go and do that and lose 60 pounds. That is insane. Geez.
I got back and the docs are like, we don't know what's wrong with you. We're going to start pumping you full of different kind of drugs. And like, they couldn't even make me gain weight for the first month. And finally they gave me something called Presequental, which is, they thought I was schistosomiasis, which is like little microscopic worms that get in your blood or something. And so I took this Presequental, which is basically the same as rat poison, for like 2 days, and with like really bad stomach cramps. And they gave it to me on Christmas Eve. Damn fuckers. And so like for 2 days over Christmas, I'm like, and then like within a week I started gaining weight and I was fine.
Damn. All right. Well, we got one other trip in South America to talk about. You mentioned JPATs, which I had not heard of before. So I'm kind of interested to hear this before we hit Afghanistan.
I'm so trying to remember what JPAT stands for.
I'll look it up. Go ahead. I'll look it up.
So there's JPAT and TAT, and I was part of both. They were basically an SF team. It's in the embassy, augmenting the embassy, usually like the DEA or the Mill Group or something. And for the longest time, there was some in Ecuador, I believe. I was in Peru 3 times, and they were basically counter drug operations where we had AWACSs and various other planes coming out of Panama, because we still own the bases in Panama, and they would fly south and identify planes that weren't where they were supposed to be. But the Americans didn't have the flight plans. They just knew where the drug probably were flying because they had all the data.
Is it joint planning action teams?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sounds good.
Yep.
Yeah. And then tactical action team maybe is TAT. So, what they did is they stuck different people, but in my case, they stuck me in this place called Huanhui. Huanhui was in the center of the country, and it was a really small air base. I was like me, and I had like 3 RTOs under me that they would rotate listening to the English radio. They sat next to a counterpart, which was a Colombian, and he had the flight plans of the whole country. And so the Americans would like, hey, I got a blah, 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 tail number, and head in this direction. And then we translate it to the guy sitting next to us. He look it up. He's like, nope, that's good. Or no, that's good. And it's like, oh no, that's not on here. That's not a real flight plan. And then they would alert, they had 3 or 4 locations where they had Tucanos, which I don't, so they had Tucano fighters, and they would alert those, and then those guys would launch and get on the trail of this supposed drug plane. And then they'd have a systematic thing to make sure they didn't shoot down the wrong plane. Cause at one time, I think they shot supposedly some Americans that were on a mission, like a religious mission. But they do these things like they're like, hey, you're unauthorized, you need to land, on the,
I'm sure it's a challenge.
Channel.
Yeah.
Yeah. The challenge. Then they, wiggle their wings And then, you got a fighter on your back, you're going to pay attention. And then they shoot across your bow, and then they shoot you down. So that's the plan. And so these guys were running for the Panamanian border. I think they were in Colombia. I think there's a PAT team in Colombia too. And I don't know the whole thing, but I know it's a big deal because their families are trying to sue the American government or the Colombian government for being involved in stuff because they got shot down. And they could never prove that, they weren't transporting it because the plane wreckage was kind of burned. So, while I was there, I think we had one shoot down, and we also had one like takeoff wreck of the Tucano. So it was like one for the drug guys, one for Peru at the time. But I did that mission 3 times over 6 years. Like every 2 years, I'd go back there and get stuck in that little place in the middle of nowhere. I mean, it was really bad. I mean, I was eating with the soldiers, and like they had a big vat of sugar juice with the flies, like two inches of flies on top of it. No. Like you got to get the flies out of there and scoop that up. I didn't get sick though. But I took a lot of drugs to make sure I didn't get sick. I was a medic.
I feel like this is one of those SF missions that they don't tell you about when you're signing up.
Yeah. I mean, one day it was like, oh, we got dessert today. I was like, oh yeah, what's that? And they're like, it's congealed cow's blood. Yeah, I'll pass. And this guy's got it. He stored it for later in his drawer, and he opened it up. He's like, no. You want some? I was like, no, I'm good, man.
No.
So that was good. That was a good mission. We did it 3 times. And I actually kind of evolved. I did it the same place twice. And the second time I was located in the embassy, kind of helping the DEA kind of identify stuff. And so it was really, the DEA had a big office down there. Yeah, it was a lot nicer in Lima. So, but yeah, that was a pretty good mission. I love that mission. Actually, it was good money, and I don't mind being by myself. I mean, I make things happen. And so, I mean, there was people before me, like there was no smart book. Like the guy relieves, like high five, just answer the radio, pass the information. And I was like, come on, I only get planes like 4 times a week. What am I doing the rest of the time? So yeah, so I made a smart book the first time I was there. And then the second time I was like, my smart book's here. And there's a couple notes from some other people. And I was like, I improved that. And then the third time someone else went down there, and he's like, yeah, I found this smart book with your name on it. I was like, yeah, that works.
Yeah, nice. Well, that's cool. So I think you mentioned that you don't go to Afghanistan right away. This is a little bit later in timing wise. Like what year is it when you end up going to OEF?
So I go in winter 2002.
Oh, that's early. Okay.
Yeah. I mean, it's like
way early.
Probably it's like the second or third rotation. No, it's probably the second rotation, right? But I went with 20th group.
Oh, so, all right. The guard unit.
Yeah, because 20th group, I guess we hadn't figured all the rotation out, and 20th group, I don't know why they sent him, but that 20th group commander was the JSOC commander at the time. Okay. I think his name was Colonel Champion. And so he went down there, and not the JSOC, the what was that? What's the operations center they got?
SOTF?
I guess the SOTF. He was the SOTF. There you go. He was the SOTF commander at the time. And so his 20th group guys are down there. And then 7th group sent a battalion, I think 2nd battalion, to the south, and they fell under Colonel Champion.
Just a quick word from our sponsor, Delete Me, and we'll get right back to this combat story. Having spent many years in the security space, I'm acutely aware of how much personal information is floating around on the web and what bad actors can do with it, from identity theft to phishing, harassment, doxing, unwanted spam calls, and more. That's why I personally recommend Delete Me. Delete Me finds and removes any personal information you don't want online and makes sure it stays off. Sign up and provide Delete Me with exactly what information you want deleted, and their experts take it from there. I love the regular, personalized privacy reports they send me, showing what info they found, where they found it, and what they removed. Delete Me isn't just a one-time service. Delete Me is always working for you, constantly monitoring and removing the personal information you don't want on the internet. Take control of your data, keep your private life private by signing up for Delete Me. Now, at a special discount for our listeners, today get 20% off your Delete Me plan by texting COMBAT to 64000. Text COMBAT to 64,000. The only way to get 20% off is to text COMBAT to 64,000. That's COMBAT to 64,000. Disclaimer, message and data rates may apply. See terms for details. And now, back to this combat story.
because 7th Group didn't deploy as a siege of soda for a couple of years. They were like the last ones in the box. So what happened is, I don't know if you know what ASOD is.
I do, but if you can explain for people listening, I think it would be helpful.
So it's a school. It's basically a human intelligence school. It teaches you to be a human intelligence collector. That's what it is. Yep. And so, and everyone thinks that's a good idea, because when Green Berets go into, behind enemy lines to train guerrillas, they have, for their own security, they need to build relationships with ideally villagers and people that have information, so that they can know if the bad guys are going to attack their base, or they're going to do kind of a search for them or something, so they can prepare for that or move it. So it's basically force protection. That's the original purpose, is force protection. So you build these networks so that you can protect the team and the people that you're training and stuff. It makes sense. So traditionally, it's a very hard school. It's a lot. They call it. It's a pencil and paper and pencil before computers. And it's and writing long reports about and understanding how people think and what motivates them and stuff like that. 20th Group didn't have any qualified people. I had just gotten out of the school. And so they came around and said, "Hey, we're looking for volunteers from 3rd Battalion, from 7th Group to augment 20th Group, because they don't have any of these qualified people." And there's only 2 of us that went to the last class. I'm pretty sure we would have been volunteered anyway, but it was early in the war, and like no one wants to miss a war, because wars are usually short back then, right? So like, yeah, send me. So we get over there, and initially, it's like they didn't ask for us, but they didn't know what to do with us. It's the normal thing. So we get to the siege of Sodif, and there's a warrant officer who's like, "I'm trying to organize all this stuff, and no one's qualified to do it. And also, I don't know anything about office, because it's 2002, and he had actually gotten out earlier, and now he was in the reserves, and he was actually an ex-7th Group guy. I knew him, and he's like, I don't know how to use Excel. I can kind of type, not a new, like our chiefs now, our warrants now are like, that's what that's their focus, right? They do they're PowerPoint ninjas, right?
Yep.
Now this guy was like, I don't know anything. I was like, well, let me give you a hand. So I create this Excel database where when people feed us reports, we can track them, we know where they came from, and we can sort them out and stuff. So he's like, wow, man, you need to stick out here. It's like, I didn't come here to do this stuff. No. That's your job. I came to get out. I mean, you can't put the information if you don't get the information. So therefore, because 7th Group was sending stuff from the south, but 20th Group wasn't sending enough for anything down to them, because they didn't have anybody to do it. So they had people kind of figuring it out, but they weren't doing the reports.
Yeah.
So they finally sent me out to JBAD. And so I get out to, but once again, no communication. I just get off a helicopter, like, who are you? We ordered food. And I'm like, I'm here to help. And they're like, we don't know who you are, and I'm not sure I trust you. And
really?
So, yeah, I mean,
as a 7th Group guy, for real?
Everyone's doing what they're doing, and they don't know who you are. They thought I was a spy. They thought I was there to find out something, because they don't know who I am. I'm an unknown.
Like the 20th Group guys, Randy?
Yeah. Well, initially they didn't know I was there. They just thought that their command sent me there to check on them or something like that. Not that they were doing anything nefarious, but it's just like, was he going to check our every move? He's going to check what we're sent, our reports. Is he going to check our op orders, or what's he going to do?
Okay.
And so I don't know what, I mean, this is what I got, and afterwards, after I made friends with them, this is what I got from them. And I was like, I don't know why that you'd think that. Like, if you said, if I got a couple extra SF guys on my team, I just like, hey, welcome, let's go work. But that's not the way it works.
Kind of earn your way in with them.
Right. Yeah. So in National Guard, they're different.
Yeah.
They're all buddies. They all work together, or they live around together. They hang out together more, as in a non-military sort. So they're all kind of, maybe in a way they're a little closer, I'd say, because they've mixed their military with their civilian life, in a way we haven't. So less trustful, I guess.
Okay.
So I earned my way by staying up till like 2 o'clock in the morning, writing all the the contact reports, and then going on every mission at 5 o'clock in the morning with them, and like trying to stay awake. And honestly, there was a couple firefights, nothing to write home about because it's so early, right?
Yeah.
So I think most of the bad guys had kind of left by then, and there was a couple smatterings there in the villages, or maybe someone got a little hyped up and shot and shouldn't have, but Iraq hadn't kicked off yet, so we didn't have IDs yet, and the biggest mission we had was we had this intelligence about an IED that no one had, because Iraq hadn't hit off. IEDs were kind of, we knew what they were, but so we do this raid. We have this guy who's part of the IED team come report to us, and his father brings him in. We go meet him in downtown, and he's like, "Hey, I don't want to do this. This isn't right. They're targeting the Americans. They're targeting I've seen what has happened since the Americans arrived, and I want more of that. And I don't know what to do. I don't know. I don't want to die." Wow. And so we're like, all right, let's figure this out. Let's figure out how to, make it look good for you, but you get away. And so we figured a plan out, and we did a raid.
What was the plan, Randy? Just out of curiosity, because if you can't say, that's all right. But
so it wasn't much of a plan. The plan was the guy was going to say, he's going to give us a grid and say, we're here. And then we basically vetted him a little bit, and we're like, this is really big. So we need to do something about it, especially if he's legit. And so we did a little vetting, and we're like, I think he's legit. The only thing we can do is let them bomb something, which is a bad idea. Right. So the idea was, we had some of the other agencies turned over control of the mercenaries to us. So because it took a lot to manage them and train them. So we were in charge of training their security force. And so our plan was to overwhelm everybody with massive amount of people that we had. So we had like 30 people that were the Afghan mercenary guys that we trained, the security force that we trained. Then we had us, and so it was a team of 12, plus we had augmentation from CA and PSYOPs. So we had 15, 20 guys, Americans there, a crap load of trucks. So we stationed around where he's in Jalalabad, where we could go just about anywhere. And he calls, he's like, one of the National Guard guys was a photojournalist in his real life, and he's sending photos to Soft Magazine, unbeknownst to us. And the cover of Soft Magazine is the photo of this raid that we did, and then the article's in the middle of it. He eventually got kicked out of SF. But so we do this raid, and he's like, hey, we're here at this location. We're here right now. Like, all the guys are there. So the idea is we arrest him with them, okay. And then there's an escape, and he gets back and he can report to his hires that, hey, I didn't have anything to do with it. I almost got caught too. Nice. And right. The only thing that could have been better is if we winged him, stand there, suck it up, right? So we get there, the guys, the bad guys are on the Jalalabad Army base. They're in the base.
What?
So we roll the gates open. We roll in with our 20 trucks. We block off the streets. We roll into this base, and we're like, and we didn't know it was the base, because we knew when we got there, we knew it was the base, but we were already rolling, and we had everyone behind us as a single street. With no turning around. So we rolled into the base, everyone unloaded, and the soldiers on the base had just got through dinner at the dining hall and were coming out, and there was like 30 or 40 of them. And our Afghan security forces get out, and they're like, hey, everyone, put your hands up. And the soldiers got their guns, like, what the hell are you doing? And so there's this standoff, and the Americans, in the picture of the soft magazine, we're on the cover. You see us, we're like, basically, I thought we were all going to die. And the photojournalist got in the middle to get this picture in front of the Afghans. He took a picture of us kneeling down and I was just like, get out of the way, dude. and then the commander comes out, and he's like, everyone calm down, put your guns down. So standoff goes down, they put their guns down, and then we know which buildings they are, because the guy had told us where the buildings were when we came in the compound. And so meanwhile, while we were having the standoff, there was another group of our guys taking the buildings down. And yeah, they find these guys. The guys start running and they tackle them to the ground. And so we get these guys and we find IEDs connected to cell phones, because this is before smartphones.
Yeah.
This is 2002, right? So they got cell phones, and they're connected to some kind of explosives, and they got the wires, and so and then they got these big blue gasoline things that that was what they were supposed to blow, that were carrying the kerosene things they carry around in Afghanistan, that is on the back of every bike. That was the big thing, right? Hey, so they're going to blow up a blue kerosene thing and kill Americans. So it was like, oh, they're everywhere. They're in the day.
How
you
are we
can't
going to find them?
Yeah. How are we going to find that? We have to take them down if it's real. So we took them all down. Not a shot fired.
Wow.
No one killed. I mean, it was a miracle. And we roll these guys up, and we interrogate all the Army guys. Like, I don't know if that was the smartest thing to do, but we're like, line them up, and then but we just take the guys that were identified by the
source. Yeah.
The source. And then we interrogate, we take them separately, and then we have the source of the separate one. We have him yell a little bit like he's being tortured or something. And then we release him. And then we do some field interrogation. Then we send him up with all the stuff. Okay. So it was, I don't know. I mean, I was getting intelligence reports. I didn't hear about anyone else before us getting that. I don't know if it was the first IED in Afghanistan, but it was pretty close. It was pretty early.
Dang. So coming out of that deployment, and we'll get to kind of maybe some of the others here in a second, but you were probably one of the few who had been in combat before with Just Cause.
Yeah.
What was your feeling coming out of that as your second rotation, kind of in a combat environment, and seeing those two juxtaposed?
Well, I mean, we talked about my last one, which was basically crawling around on the ground, with gunfire up to the plane. I mean, it's a total different experience, right? I was infill by plane, rounds coming through the plane, rounds coming up at you when you're falling, and then crawling along the ground and hearing all the shooting going around you is a lot different than basically being in charge. I mean, I'm traveling around with 20 trucks, 50 guys wherever I go. And the bad guys have been pushed probably in Pakistan. I mean, they were scared of us for the first year or so until they gathered their, especially after Iraq, and after all the Iraq TTPs got pushed over to Pakistan. And then they came back, 2003, 2004 with all their IEDs. Like 2000, especially after Iraq started. And so we were still there when Iraq started in 2003. And then all the focus kind of went over there too, but everyone was kind of watching how that was going to go down. And I think the bad guys might have been over there too, at least they went over there once it started, to start their IED kind of guerrilla warfare. It was kind of quiet. Like, there's no one really challenging us. And Jalalabad turned into a bad place later on.
That was a bad place to be.
They used to call it IED Alley. And when I came back in 2007, 2008, that was not a good place to be. But the IEDs, we were going up and down Highway 1, all the way to the border. No ambushes, no challenges, no IEDs going. We were traveling villages on both sides. We had a huge swath of land. We were probably 100-mile radius, and we were alone. I mean, there's no real army forces down there. Like later on in Jalalabad, when they actually took the airfield over and walled it off, they had like a battalion or division or something there for a long time. They had a Marine brigade, and then they switched it off with the 82nd or something. They always had a full big huge army unit there with the SF team, and with the French there. With the French were there for a while. The Rangers were there for a while. I mean, it was a bad place. That they were sticking a lot of people there for a reason. Yep. But when we were there, we were downtown in a safe house. Wow. I don't know if you've heard of it. There was this alley called Chocolate Alley. And everyone who knows been to JBAD knows it, because it's this alley where the safe house was, and we had guards on either end. So ideally no one would come and get us. and the medics would treat all the families and children of the whole area on the street. So we had rapport. I don't know. I'm sure they could be threatened, but the kids, every time we came back from a mission, the guards, would let the gate up. We'd go down Chocolate Alley, and the kids would run after our trucks going chocolate, chocolate, chocolate. And, we'd throw them chocolate. As my parting gift for Afghanistan was to actually write Chocolate Alley and paint on the road at the end.
That's cool.
I have a picture of me doing that. I should send that picture to you.
Yeah. Could you imagine that, like, the life of the people who happen to live on that street, like how different it must have been for somebody just 2 blocks away to be, taken care of, the chocolate, the experience with the Americans? How weird.
I mean, it's dual, right? I mean, they like, hey, you live on Chocolate Alley. Yep. I'm going to kill your family if you don't do this. I mean, there's
a great point.
But we had generators 24/7, and there were a crap load of wires coming across the street to our generators, and I never cut them.
Yep. Okay. So let's jump to maybe one of the tougher moments you find yourself in when you're downrange, maybe 07, 08, or after that. Just, can you give us some context? Where are you at in your career? Where are you based? And what is this operation or mission like for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, 7th Group, like I said, was one of the last ones to go over there. And 3rd Battalion, 7th Group was like the last battalion. I think it was really the last active duty battalion to go over there. And so I went to South America a bunch. And then it wasn't until 2006. I'm an E8 now. I'm a team sergeant.
Wow.
I got 2 deployments underneath me with my team. So the team's pretty. I've been with
tight,
almost everybody on the team. Yeah, we've been together for like a year and a half at least. We went to Panama once and Colombia once, and and when we were in Colombia, I was like, all right, let's prep, man. Let's do everything we need to do. We need to figure out how we're going to move through a city and cover each other. Like, we don't do urban shit. I mean, we started doing SFAUC in the late 90s, SFAUC. Okay. So it was basically the Sephardic stuff where, building clearing stuff, but it was like, it was Sephardic minus, without the linear targets. And basically someone I thought was a good idea said, hey, you guys, all Green Berets should know how to do this. So we're going to train you, heavy on, transitioning weapons, moving through a building and all that stuff, which we hadn't done before, unless you went to Sephardic, unless you were on a SIF, you didn't do that. So we were starting to do that. And I was like, okay, but going through a building and shooting through a mud wall are different. And we need to really think about this. And so we had good op fund, we built stuff. So, and we take 2 whole days out of our training for the Colombians. We train the Colombians 5 days, and then 2 days straight, we'd be practicing our everything I could think of that would help them in Afghanistan, including the intelligence gathering, which there was never a need to do that. There was a need, but we weren't doing it because, the embassy wasn't interested in authorizing us to do that, probably, if nothing else. But later on, after Afghanistan, we'd have people in the embassy who were human intelligence experts and were helping out. And so they were more maybe exposed to it or something. So they didn't mind so much. And so I was like, okay, well, how about that guy that delivers the food to the restaurant on the base? Someone go talk to him. Where's he come from? Where's he drive his truck from? How do we get out of it? How do we contact him? If we need to get out of the base because of something, how does that work? And let's figure that out. And we don't have to hire him. We don't have to, recruit him or something. We just need to, we need to work these skills and let's figure it out. And, everyone needs to talk to someone and figure out where they're coming from, what they can do for us. And then give them some chocolate or whatever. So I was big on that. So then my team gets sent and we're going back to the Northeast. And I sit in this room and I'm like, I got a question. Have you decided who's going where yet? It's like, no, we're going to decide that next week. He's like, I think it would be a good idea if we go to Jalalabad. And he's like, Jalalabad, I mean, it's a pretty hot area. Why do you want to go to Jalalabad? It's like, because I was already there. I already know all the people that we were talking to. I know the mayor. I know the governor. I know all the areas. I know it doesn't make. Why would you not want to send me back to the same place I came from? And at the time, I didn't know this, but Jalalabad had the big compound now, and it was like the Hilton. When you weren't traveling, it was the Hilton. I didn't know this, but I didn't even address it. I was just like, I can't imagine why you wouldn't want. I have rapport with everyone that we talk to. It doesn't make sense not to send me.
Tell me they sent you.
Of course they sent me.
Okay.
They sent me there, and then I'm like, I inherit the Hilton, like literally like 2-story buildings with like 50 rooms. I got DEA guys, I got FBI guys there, I got dog guys, I got Paladin guys, EID guys.
Mm-hmm.
I got all these extra people. I got a staff of like 50 Afghans. I got cooks. I got mechanics. I got security force. I was like, what is going on? So now, but I have a city that I have to run as well. And I'm the mayor, and I'm like, holy crap. So I had to figure this out. I had not prepared for this at all. And my guys just want to get outside the wire. And I'm like, hey, we're not getting outside the wire, because everything we practice was out the window because we didn't have armored Hummers down there. I didn't have a door. So we had Hummers. We had different guns on there than we were used to. So we had to figure that out. We had to figure the load out. We had to figure out, our emergency actions on everything. We had ATVs, like how are we going to incorporate that? Are the medics going to go, or the snipers going to go, or one of each, or what's going to go? So we had to figure all of that out. So we war gamed this for like 2 weeks. We rehearsed it on base, because the base was pretty big and there's a lot of open space at the time. And everyone's like, we're good, we should go out. I was like, no, we're gonna try all the guns. Like the guns we had on the ground weren't the guns we brought with us.
Yeah.
They were, and plus some of the configurations, I was like, is this working for you? I was like, well, I mean, we'll fix it, and I had 3 new guys, X-rays on the team, and plus the guys I went with. And so I was like, all right, let's figure this out. So we spent 2 weeks figuring it out. Meanwhile, I'm trying to figure out the base, and I'm like, okay, I can't do this myself. You're in charge of like paying people, and you're in charge of this and that. So everyone started getting used to their jobs, and we started figuring it out. And then we had these huge ISU 90s full of that were locked up, and we had a ring of keys. And I'm like, hey, open those up. What's in there? And so he's opened it up. I was like, I don't have a key to this one. Cut it. It's like, well, what if someone else's? Everything, I'm the mayor. Everything's mine. Cut it. I don't want to know what's in there. It was this cable that like the contractors are using for our generators, because we had contractors there on the other side with the Marines, and they would come, and our generators, and they'd come over and fix our generators as part of their contract. But I didn't know that. I was like, what's that for? What is it? And he's like, I don't know. I was like, lock it up with our locks. If it's someone else's, they'll come when they can't open it. So this guy comes eventually, kind of an overweight contractor. I was like, who are you? He's like, oh, I work for, whatever contracting company. I was like, how did you get on my compound? Because inside the Jalalabad, there's different compounds. There's the SF compound, the French compound, and so I was like, how did you get? He's like, oh, I know the guards. They let me in. I was like, well, I'll fix that. And then I was like, how many other people can just walk into the base because they're like, hey, what's up, man? I know you.
These things you just assume would be covered, and you're like, can't assume.
I know. Yeah. And I was like, yeah, this is my cable. I was like, really? What's it doing in my base? He's like, well, we use it for that. I was like, yeah, is Jeff here? I was like, no, I don't know who Jeff is. I was like, I'm the new guy in town, so tell me what's going on. He's like, can we talk private? I was like, no. What do you want to tell me? And so then I was like, this is suspicious. And then we were also getting intelligence that some Americans selling cable downtown. And so I'm like, I go find the head guy. I'm like, hey, come here. I got this. It's like, oh, I've been looking for that. It's like, yeah, I don't know how long it's been here. It was here when I got here like a couple of months ago. This guy, show him a picture, came over, said it was his. He needed it. He needed access to it or whatever. Do you guys need this to fix the generator? She's like, no, this needs to be in my compound. He's like, well, and then next thing I know, that guy's in MPs are here. He's in cuffs. He's flying away on a helicopter. And I was like,
good for
I don't
you.
know what's going on.
Damn.
But it's just part of running the city, right? There's crime, I guess. So we're there. We have one of the most successful, in my opinion, and I did a little check on it when I went back later on. One of the most successful teams there. We only get one IED the whole time we're there. It's 2006, and it was called IED Alley for a reason. The conventional military were getting hit a lot, and they had an out base that was an old French fort that they supplied, and we'd go out there sometimes and kind of check on them and resupply them and stuff. But we only got hit. I got hit twice. The first time we got hit as a team with all our extras, and it hit the back because we had stuff that stopped the IEDs, right?
Yeah.
And sometimes the end would trail off, and it would, we tried to cover everything, but sometimes it didn't go. And this thing went off, and I don't think it was it was old. The only reason it hit is someone left it behind, and it was a trigger of something, and it was old, and it just went off when the last truck went over it or something like that. And we were stuck in this riverbed, and I heard the bomb go off, and I'm like, holy crap. And I jump out, and I'm running back. It's like a half a mile out, all my kit. I'm running back, and you do this, you do that. And I'm like, cause I got a guy in an ATV back there, and Mike Rodriguez. And I'm like, Mike, you okay? And Mike's on his ATV. He's like, yeah, I'm fine. Well, turns out he wasn't. He got hit by the thing, and he got knocked off. He didn't get any hurt by it, except that he got knocked unconscious. And when he woke up before I got there, he told everyone, don't tell him, because I want to stay. I don't want to leave the team. This apparently happened multiple times. He would flip the ATV on himself, get knocked unconscious, stuff like that. And eventually he gets a TBI, and he starts having seizures and stuff, but not here.
Yeah.
Later in his life. And so that was always on my mind for a long time. And then the other thing was, we had this base that the conventional army had, and
in J-Bad?
It was in J-Bad, but it was like a 4-hour drive outside of J-Bad. It was a French fortress that had been there for a while, and these guys took it over. It was in the middle of nowhere. It wasn't a really great place. And we'd always bring them, we had lots of lickies and chewies, and we bring it out to them and try to take care of them a little bit. And so we went out one day, and we came back, and then they went out the same route, and it blew. Something blew. And then we saw the guy like on the mountain, like book. And so we chased after him, but we didn't catch him. He was too far away. But so we went out the second time. They found the bomb, and they sent the Paladin guys out there. And when the Paladin guy went out there, it blew. Like he was like around the mountain, and he was fine though, fortunately. And then we chased that guy down, but we couldn't get him. So that's the only two IEDs had. And every other team was there, was like IED every other day, every time they went out. Jeez. I mean, we would say, hey, we're going to go treat this village. And then we go the other way, and we'd come back a different way. And we did that every single time. And I talked to the Terp. The Terps eventually got hired as language instructors for soft guys. I wrote them a recommendation. They got out of there before the Afghan evacuation. And I sat down with them, and I said, why didn't we get attacked more? And he's like, I mean, you're the only team that regularly went out and treated the villages. You did like 2 or 3 humanitarian actions a week, and then you did like 2 or 3 raids a week, and you alternated them, and you went and you spread them out, and you treated that whole area, like 50-mile radius. You were in all those villages, and you were spending all day giving them meds and treating these people. And I mean, I have family that live there, and the family wouldn't tolerate those guys.
Wow.
So that's what he said. So that's what we did. So
actually, Randy, can you take us through you're an E8 team sergeant at the time, like a lot of responsibility for these men who you've kind of mentored for a couple of years now and led. Can you take us through one of the tougher raids you went on, like from a leadership perspective?
So I had the security forces. I trained them to be scouts. So I trained them to draw. I trained them. They knew the area, and we get the intelligence, and then I had a guy that you're the scout guy. I was pushing out I was delegating as much as I could. So I was like, hey Bravo, you're the scout guy. He's like, I'm a new Bravo. I don't know anything. He was like, you're a freaking Bravo. You can figure it out. You're a smart guy. You're an SF guy. Got 120, whatever. But I'll walk you through it. We'll go together, so let's do it. So we got to teach them to draw. They got to be able to draw. Like if they go there and say, this is the compound where if we have a source and he leads the guides somewhere, not the Americans, the guides. And this is before we didn't really have drones and stuff back then. I mean, we didn't have access to them. And so we set them out there. They're going to draw the route. They're going to draw what's there. They're going to where the closest buildings are, hills, all the important stuff that we need to know. And we're going to look at it on the map. And we're going to show them on the map. And we're going to teach them to read a map and teach them to look at a map. And then what is this? We're going to teach them elevation on a map. And it's like, this is what this should look like. And we're going to teach them to draw. And they're going to come back. And then we're going to ask them, like, do they see any guards? All this stuff. Because they're the ones that can fit in and we can't fit in. So that almost every single one, we knew exactly what we're getting into without drone footage and satellite footage. We could have requested satellite footage, but it seemed to take so long. Yeah. And a lot of these intelligence was like, hey, the bad guy's going to be there in like 3 days. And so we went in there in force. We left at dark 30 to get there at, break of dawn before they go to the mosque. And then we just wait till they leave. And we really didn't kick doors down. And maybe that's also why we didn't get hit. Like we didn't kill anybody. We arrested the people that we thought were bad. And I think the people around us knew they were bad too. They're like, yeah, they should be arrested. They're bad. So
when you say you wait for them to leave, you mean like you'd be set up on the house, but you're not going to go in. You're just going to wait till they come out and move and then interdict them basically.
Exactly. We wait till they go to mosque. And as soon as the doors open, it's like, hey, you're all under arrest. Come with us. And then we get our terps in there and we'd have our guy who is the source, with his, every face covers, like start identifying people. That's the guy. We always cross-reference our sources. We weren't doing one source stuff. So it was always, I already went through this with 20th group. I was like, hey, let's do 3 sources. If we can't get 3 sources to agree on this, then we're not going to go in there. And we sent them up, not very few, I think 10% came back, because they go up and vet them in Bagram after we send them up. And if they can't figure anything out, because we have to send all our reports and why we think this is true and blah, blah, blah. And then if they just think it's not good enough, then they'll send somebody back and we'll have to release them. But we rolled up probably 50, 60 guys in the 8 months we were there. I mean, like I said, we're going out 3 times a week. Yeah. Now, not everything was it wasn't the door kicking stuff, like, which we didn't do very much of. It wasn't that was the hard part. It was freaking traveling at night and falling off the road into a river or a ditch that was half full of water because my driver's an idiot, and me being on the side and almost drowning, like, blubbering at him like, you're an idiot. And so, stuff like that, or running towards a building that's in the middle of a field in the middle of the night and falling in this, like the guy behind me is like, you just disappeared, like 8-foot ditch, or something. I mean, it's surprising I didn't hurt myself, break a leg or anything else, or the wheel just falling off the Hummer because we just trashed it so much over the desert. And then we have to wait, and we're in the middle of nowhere. It's getting dark and we're waiting for some kind of tractor because we can't get the Hummer off the ground, and just trying to figure stuff out. And then then we get that fixed. And then the one in front of us loses steering capability. So now we're towing that one. And, just sometimes it's like 5 things go wrong all the way on the way home or something like that. But it wasn't the bad guys for us.
No, I got you. I don't know. I mean, it sounds like you had a pretty pragmatic and outside the box approach to how you did things. So it seemed to pay off. Let's jump to Colombia. And I think the note that I had was something about some interesting hostage rescue.
So while I was in Afghanistan the first time with 20th Group, my team was actually in Colombia in a place called Larandia, which is kind of in the southeast. And it's on the edge of what the Colombian government had given to the FARC at one time and said, hey, you just stay in there and we won't go in there and you don't come out, which never worked well, in my opinion. And there was these three hostages. They wrote a book called Out of Captivity. And they were contractors on a plane. I mean, they were doing something ninja, and their plane actually stopped working. It wasn't that they got shot down. They had engine problems, and they crashed into the jungle. And they weren't far away from Larandia. And we had contractor helicopters, Blackhawks, there that were armed. They did security and everything. And so our guys, we had the radio thing. Our guys, my team, from what they told me, they all kitted up and they got on the helicopter ready to like go grab those guys, because there is a golden hour, right? I mean, if you jump in the jungle, how close to the FARC, how far away the FARC, the jungle's not easy to move through. How long is it going to take to? Are the guys hurt? Are the guys dead? So if we get there fast enough, like I think they said it was like a 20-minute flight, right? If you get there fast enough, you might be able to get them out. And even if you do, you might have more firepower for them. So especially with the guns in the helicopter. So, but the embassy decided that it wasn't worth it, so they wouldn't authorize them to fly. So those three. So one of the pilots, I believe, died on impact. One of them had broke his leg. When the FARC got there, I think they killed him. And then the three Americans were rolled up. And for 5 years, this was in February. I think it's February 13th, 2002. I want to say, because that's my birthday. And so they get rolled up, and for the longest time, I mean, I was still going back to Colombia. I mean, the thing about 7th Group is we were always active. We were probably the most active group before 9/11. And because Plan Colombia happened a couple of years before, and we were down there all the time. One time I went to Colombia twice for a total of 9.5 months. And so when we go to Afghanistan, we'd rotate back to Colombia or Peru or something like that. And we would just be going back to back. We were getting smoked. And so we'd always go back there, and we'd be training like their soft guys to go in the jungle and find our dudes. That was our duty. We'd bring the bullets and make sure they got all the training. And one of the last missions that I was down there with, our job was to train with them, work with them, live with them as if we were one of them. And if they actually went on the mission, we were supposed to go with them. And eventually that actually happened. But after I left 7th Group in 2007, I went to a really sweet job as the senior listed advisor and security manager in Colombia at the embassy for the Mill Group commander. And my job was to make sure all Americans, help the commander make sure all the Americans who worked, military and civilian, in Colombia for the government were safe. So I had to go to cities and say, this is a green zone, this is a red zone. I talk to the police and military, and I do assessments of all the military bases that Americans would have to spend time in to train people, civilians, or anyone who worked for the government. So I had 5 guys that worked for me, TDY. I was the permanent party, and I would train them to do these assessments. I sent them out to do them, and then I would I would go out and find the green zones and define them and stuff, because sometimes they didn't always speak great Spanish, but most of the time they did. And so that was my primary job. Second one is I'm the commander if you needed me for anything. So the hostages were released in 2008 with the mission was called Checkmate. And there's a great movie. There's a great YouTube thing about it. You have the hostage books, and a lot of the other hostages wrote it. From my stance, what happened was the ambassador got kind of informed by the president or the authorities in Colombia that, hey, we're going to do this, and And they're like, okay. He's like, but don't tell very many people, because the American embassy is a sieve. And so he brought in his people, like the mill group commander, and said, hey, this is what's going on. And then he brought in the people that could make things happen. And a couple of the people, and I was one of them. He's like, here's what's going on. I've been here for like 4 years. This happens like every 6 months. I'm supposed to go on vacation. It's the summer. It's July. So this is in July of that year, 2008. And he's like, I'm going on vacation. And the number 2 guy was the Air Force colonel. He's like, I'm going on vacation too. And my kids, I already got tickets. So, and this never comes to anything. It's all baloney. And then the number 3 guy's like, I'm going on vacation too. And like the number 4 guy's like, I'm going on vacation too. So they find like the number 5 guy, who's a reserve 06. And he's like, they're like, you're in charge, but Randy and this other guy, who's the expert on hostage rescue and recovery and stuff. He's like, these guys know everything and all the plans, so just take your cues from them. And it happens. And we have some Green Berets stationed in different places for security, but really, mostly the Colombians do it themselves, and it's a crazy mission. They go in there, this is all in the open now. So basically, the Colombians figured out that the guy who an officer from the Colombian army escaped, who was kind of held with those Americans, and he got out, and they debriefed him, and they found out all their TTPs. And and then an RTO, and a Colombian RTO, smart kid, enlisted guy, he figured out that, hey, you know what? I think I can impersonate the RTO for this guy.
Wow.
for the head guy, and they just the FARC had just taken a couple big hits from top guys, and so there was a little bit of chaos in the who was in charge, and so I think I can impersonate the RTO for the new head guy, and so they contacted the RTO for the guy that was holding the hostages, like, hey, we're doing a hostage exchange. Meet us at this plot at this time, and there's going to be a helicopter coming in with some aid workers, and we're going to move them to Venezuela and do the hostage exchange. And so so they acknowledged it,
like it's coming from the big man. So don't question it. Just do this.
Exactly. So they make all these rehearsals, plans, and everything, and they get on no guns on the helicopter, and they go in there just like, this is going to work. And they said all the hostages need to have like whatever white T-shirts on. I forget what they had to identify them, because they wanted to make sure the hostage on the ground before the helicopter landed. And they get there and no one's got anything on. And they're like, shit. And they said, crap. All right, we're going to land anyway. So they land. And everyone had done some like acting preparation for this too. The guys that were going to talk, and they're like, hey, yeah, this is going to be great. They're talking with like, Venezuelan accents or whatever they're doing. Right. And they get all the hostages on the helicopter, and they're like, they talk to the big boss, and they're like, hey man, the big boss wants to meet you and congratulate you, and we have a present from him here, and he gave him some kind of communist present, and said that meant something to him. And he's like, you want me to get on the helicopter? He's like, yeah, we're going to take you to Venezuela. You're going to meet the big boss. He's like, oh, okay. So he gets on there by himself.
No way.
And they take off.
This is the greatest.
Now if you read the book, and like the Americans are like, what the hell is going on? And then once they get on, the only one that's got a gun is the guy that got on the plane now. And so as soon as the helicopter takes off, like people jump on him, and the Americans are like, oh, it's a rescue. And so they're like jumping in there, getting their kicks in on this guy. And so they land in a Colombian base where we had some American soldiers there for security purposes, but we didn't need them. They got escorted to a plane. They got flown to another big base where I did Lancero school. That's one of the biggest bases, and it's called Tolamaida. And then from there, they got a plane to Bogota, where they got on a big, like a C-5 or something. They could, fly them to San Antonio. And so my job, well, I mean, I know all that. I'm on the ops, and I'm what's going on. And I had like contingency plans. I'm like, okay, we're going to send some Green Berets in armored vehicles to Tolomida, which is like a 6-hour ride, in case the plane doesn't work and can't fly into Bogota. And then those guys are going to need your weapons and ammo. And I got to figure out, convince the embassy to give me ammo these guys can carry ammo and shit like that. And so those guys go down there and stage. And then, and then I go, okay, we got to figure out what the hangar we're going to go to. And we had our own hangar down there. So we go there and kind of secure the hangar. And then the hostage rescue experts like, Randy, you're here at the hangar gate. No one comes in. And I mean, no one, because we don't want family. I don't know how, I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but no one comes in. If the family comes, they don't get in, because these guys haven't seen their family for 5 years. And if they convince them to and they're not military, so we can't order them. And so if they decide they want to stay here for whatever reason, Stockholm syndrome or whatever, then they get off and they disappear and we lose them. So we don't want to distract them. We're moving them from the plane, 50 meters to the other plane, getting them on the plane, and then we're buttoning up and taking off. And I was like, Roger that. Yep. And so sure enough, somehow, so this guy, one of the guys, was dating a Colombian stewardess when he got captured, and she had twins while he was in captivity. And so her sister shows up because she wasn't in town, and who knows? Who knows how she found out
that? Amazing.
Yeah, I know. So she shows up at the gate and she's crying, and the guards are like, "What do we do?" And I was like, "I don't know what's going on." So I figured out what's going on. And apparently she was really close with the whole family. Right. And I'm like, so they get on the other plane, the plane's buttoned up. It's like taxiing. And I'm like, I'm the only one with that guy's phone number on the plane. I'm like, so I like, doot. Oh, he didn't answer. Oh, well. And then he calls me back and I'm like, and I'm like, hey man, he's like, what's going on? We're about to take off. It's like, yeah, I can see you. So dude man's like sister-in-law's here. God damn it. No. What? No, we're not turning back. He's like, no. I'm not saying turn back. You're taxiing. Nothing can stop you now. No, they can't even say get off the plane. The plane's taken off. You're gone. All right. You're gone in like 30 seconds. But he hasn't talked to anyone in his family for 5 years. I have her right here. I mean, it's just you and me. Whatever you want to do. He's like, okay, fuck it. So they put it on the phone for 30 seconds. The plane takes off. Nice. And then I get invited like a year later. They give them like civilian Purple Hearts up at Southcom. And for some reason they send an invitation to like the people, like the middle group commander, people who, it was funny because I'm texting people like, what's going on? Like the first 5 guys in charge weren't there.
All of them were like, are you serious?
So they come back. So they get invited to this ceremony, to the Southcom ceremony, and they are all busy. And I was like, well, I want to go. It's like, well, you can go represent us, Sergeant Major. I was like, damn straight. So I go up there and I get stuck in the room where they're going to have dinner, and the sister, I don't know if they're twins, but they looked exactly alike. So the wife comes up with the 2 twins, and I'm like, hey, how you doing? I'm Randy. I think I talked to your sister the day. She's like, it's you. And she hugs me. And then the guy comes in. He's like, this is the one. He's like, oh man, hey. And so it was a good finish for me for the whole thing. Right. And I actually volunteered for this job thinking that I could do something. I don't know anything, but thinking I could, figure out where the disconnect was, right? Because I was invested in like talking to people and figuring out like who knew what, and if someone wasn't talking, making sure they were talking, and actually was involved in a couple of the almost like rescues and stuff that were going on in background for the year building up to that. Like the commander would say, hey, you're the point, go to these many meetings and give me updates and stuff. So I was like super invested in this whole thing. And so it was really good catharsis for me. And so the next day, me being an entrepreneur, I made a T-shirt that said Hostage Rescue Day, 3 July 2008. and on the back it had a waving American flag that said "Let Freedom Ring," and I made it in the colors of the shirts that we have to wear under our uniforms. So I made Air Force colors, whatever color they wear. So I had those made downtown. I must have made like $10,000 off those shirts, man. I like everybody wanted them from like anyone from Southcom who came down there's like, I want 30 shirts, I want 12 yards, and stuff like that. And so a year later, the guy comes back, the guy who's married the stewardess to visit so she can visit his family and stuff. And he comes and talks to the people who helped with the rescue. And he's like, hey man, this was awesome. Thank you so much, blah, blah, blah. And I went up as like, hey, I got some shirts for you guys. But I have to, I won't have them till tonight. I'm having them made right now. He's like, oh, that'd be awesome. And he tells me the hotel he's in. Don't tell anybody. No one knows I'm there, but you ask for, Marco at the front desk or whatever. So I go to the front desk and at night and I bring the shirts and they're like, oh yeah, they're in the whatever room eating their dinner. So I knock on the door and I go in. And the sister's there. She's like, that's you. Nice. And then I married her.
No,
I didn't. Okay. I was kidding.
Yeah. Right. That would have been the full circle. Well, dang. All right. So Randy, we've taken a lot of your time. I've got 2 questions I try to ask everybody, but we also need to talk about themilitaryeditor.com because that's something we talked about in round 1, but hadn't necessarily talked about this time around. So, obviously for people to contact you, what's the best way to find you and what are you looking for in a new project coming up?
Sure. So militaryeditor.com is my webpage. You can reach me there or the story ninjas at gmail.com. So I just like talking to veterans. So if a veteran wants to write his own book, that's fine. If he wants to get on a call with me for half an hour, I will give him the best guidance I know for my last 7 years of experience writing some bestsellers and whatever else I wrote. And if he needs more help than that, I'd be happy to do that. I've written a lot of memoirs, a lot of military memoirs, especially for Vietnam vets and some of the older guys. So if you got family members that got great stories and they want to get it written, there's people out there that'll charge them 20, 30,000 and I don't do that. So I'm just happy to help them get their story out there. If they want fantasy, science fiction, I love that stuff. Military thriller, Jack Reacher, what's the Jack Carr stuff, yeah. Jack Carr stuff, all that stuff. I love reading that stuff and I'm game for any of that stuff. And my partner does romance. So if your wives are writing romance, send it to us. And she's been begging me to find a romance writer. And we've only found a couple. So yeah, any of that stuff. I book coach. So I'll if you want to write yourself, I'll teach you to write better. I'll take your finished manuscript and I'll edit it and help you to make it more compelling and give you some ideas. And also I'll ghostwrite mostly nonfiction books. I've only just ghostwritten 2 fiction books, but the nonfiction books are my bread and butter right now.
Awesome. Well, that's great. And we'll have links in the description as well. The 2 questions I ask everybody at the very end. One is, when you were deployed throughout your career, was there anything that you carried with you on your person that had sentimental value, good luck charm, or just something that somebody had given you wanted nearby?
This is stupid, but right before I went to Panama, we were at the range. I think it was the range to like 0 and qualify. It was just 0 and refresher right before we got on the planes. For some reason, I took my Ranger coin out and I put it in the bullseye and I shot a hole. Pure luck. And it was just off center. I shot it through it. And I kept that with me for everything I did after that.
That is cool. Where did you carry it?
I kept it. I kept it right here, but it was sticky, so I had pocket? I had to get the edges off because the first time I put it in there, it was like it was still it was ripped up. So,
oh, that's cool. I have never heard that one. We hear a lot of these. That's a new one for me. And then the last one, just many years of service for you, like a lot of decades invested. Probably a lot of close calls that we didn't even touch on this time, besides wrestling a snake in a pit in the middle of nowhere. But as you look back on those years, would you do it again?
Oh yeah, I learned so much. And I had a friend of mine So when I failed out of the medical school, I just helped this guy move, and I knew him. I knew him when I was in 91 when I went to the medical school, and I flunked out the first time, and I hung out with him all the time. He went to the college I went to, Trinity, and so I knew him from Trinity, and we hung out all the time. And I would help him with his homework so he could go do cool stuff like rappel off the dam and stuff. And when he wanted to do stuff, I'm like, I got to study for the pharmacology test. He's like, come on, man, just a couple hours. And I ended up failing. And he just admitted to me, and he never told us. He's like, I am sorry. Sorry for what, man? He's like, I'm pretty sure I was why you failed out of that medical course. I was like, dude, so far back. I never even thought that it was your fault. Don't worry about it. But here's the thing. If I hadn't have flunked out of the medical course, I wouldn't have went to the Bravo course. I wouldn't have learned mortars. I wouldn't have been great at mortars as a medic. I wouldn't have been able to set up the final fire when the Bravo got hit on the base I was at because no one else knew how to do it. So I don't know how many lives I saved to that. Also, I wouldn't have been the medic that I was because I went to the medic course twice. And then I ended up saving an FBI guy in the mountains of Colombia. And so honestly, the first time I went through, maybe I wasn't ready. So if I hadn't have flunked out then, I might have flunked out later and never been a medic. So I wouldn't have been able to help that FBI guy. I wouldn't be able to help guys in Afghanistan. I mean, it all comes around. And then I might have got killed at the mortar base because I wouldn't have had to do mortars. And then I wouldn't be helping you move right now, man. So don't worry about it.
That's cool. Yeah, it all comes back around. Well, Randy, thanks so much.
Hey,
yeah.
Did we talk about the skill bridge before?
Oh, no. Let's hit that. That's an important one. People have heard it on the show, but it's worth repeating.
All right. So, I've been doing this for 7 years. I got an MFA in creative writing. I've been reading my whole life, and I built this business from scratch, and it was hard. I didn't have any mentors. I didn't know what the hell I was doing. It took a while to get off the ground. And so what I wanted to do, I got into Skill Bridge. I got accepted last January. So I've been doing it for a year and a half. I've helped like 15 guys. So Skill Bridge, if you don't know, transitioning service members, dependents, but mostly service members who can get like 3 or 4 months signed off by their commander saying, hey, you're going to go study for a skill that you're going to use when you get out of the military. And it all depends on your commander, whether your MOS is needed and whether they're going to do it. I think more people are leaning the direction to let you do that, especially if you're retiring. So if anyone wants to learn editing, and I've even said, hey, I'll teach you how to write better if you want to write. If you got a draft, we'll go through chapters. We'll spend a couple hours a week and go through your book for like a couple months. But basically you sign up through the Soldier for Life Center and get your commander to sign off on it. And then you get your full pay and benefits for the last 3 or 4 months that you're in the military. And then you basically come in, and we're going to do it online because I'm in Spain, but I will mentor you to be an editor and start an editing business. If that's something you want to do, I can't do it. I can't make you want to do it. If you like to do it, and then you love reading and you love this stuff and you just want to learn how to do it, or if you want to just learn how to edit your stuff better, or if you just want to learn how to write better, I'll spend that time with you. That's so, cool. So that's it.
And it's no cost to the service member?
No cost to the service member. Usually it's a give and take. Like Microsoft, Google, Amazon, they'll have these things where they adopt you for 3 months and then they train you to do this stuff, and then they may hire you. I'm not going to hire you. Yep. So if you want, but I will do this without SkillBridge. Like I have one that just came to me the other day. OSI, she's a member of the OSI. She's like, I'm going to do SkillBridge with these guys, but I want to take you up and learn how to do this. So I'll just meet you a couple times a month, and I'll learn this too as like a hobby secondary skill. So I don't have I don't have to be the SkillBridge. I don't care. Most companies are, tit for tat. You work for them for free because you're getting full pay from the military. In fact, you're not allowed to get paid by anyone else but the military then that time. That's why you're getting your pay. And so you're working for free for them. They're getting free chicken, and you're learning stuff, but you're also doing work for them. I got nothing for you to do except work on your own stuff. So it's really it's not tit for tat. It's just tit.
Okay. Well, I was at Google and we saw those people come through, and not all of them get hired afterwards. So it's not even a guarantee. So, similarly. Awesome. Well, thanks so much, Randy. Really appreciate it. And people can find you with some of the links in the description. Really appreciate the time.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It was pretty fun to go through all this stuff and Lancero schools. Nice, great memories.
Perfect. I hope you enjoyed that second round interview with Randy. What a crazy storyteller, and no surprise he's now helping other people write their memoirs. For those out there who are interested in that, you should check him out. See if he can help you document your own story. I know there are many people who end up reaching out who would love to share their story. We don't always have the space on the show to do it, or they just want to have somebody in their family document the experiences of a loved one. This, through Randy, is a great way to do that. So I would highly recommend checking out militaryeditor.com. You can see what he can do. Definitely check out our newsletter at combatstory.com/newsletter. The one that we sent out last week has a surprise link in there to some work we did with Netflix. We couldn't put it up online, but we can definitely share it with all of you who are trusted listeners. Hope you enjoy it. Take a look, and we'll include it in a couple of the future newsletters so you can see. Anyway, thank you so much for listening, everyone, wherever you are in the world, whether it's week or weekend. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and as always, stay safe.